Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. We are just a few weeks away from the start of spring. Many of us thinking about the proverbial spring cleaning, just getting rid of clutter, purging, feeling fresh again. What about a redo or maybe a renovation, a remake? I wouldn't suggest doing that alone. I've got somebody that can help you out with that. But interestingly, she takes it from a different angle and how it can really emotionally, physically support you by having your place organized and feeling like it truly fits you. I love what we're going to call this today, getting candid through chaos. And I think if you just picture one room in your house, there's a chaos spot in there. I guarantee it. Kristiann joins us. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just looking in your background and it's so neat. I love it.
Thank you. This is my safe space, my Zen den, I'll call it.
It looks so good. It looks like it looks like a Zoom background. It's real.
That makes me so happy to hear because I look at my backdrop and I'm like, is this a Zoom backdrop? I don't really know.
It looks
But I
like a
guess
Zoom
it
backdrop.
works. Yeah, it's
Wow.
not bad.
So even before we get into some of the work you've done and how you do it, I want to start with the energy. We're all energy. If you don't think so, some dude named Einstein came up with it and told us all about it. And maybe we didn't believe him then, but we are. Everything, the chair we're sitting on, the paper you hold, the pen, that's energy. We are energy, different types of energy. And when our living and workspaces aren't supporting us, not resonating with us, it's doing something to us in a negative way. Can we talk about that?
Yes, I'm huge on that whole theology basically because I'm very spiritual myself and I'm big on energy and I've lived it in so many different ways where my environment has impacted how I've done in my work life, in my personal life, in my family life, all of those factors. So I'm really big on how your environment plays a huge role on how you're feeling, how you can give your best to whatever it is you're doing, like whatever the task at hand is.
Think of when you just do a small cleaning in even your office, anywhere, and the next day it's like magic. Something changes. Like you feel like you're more efficient. You have more clarity. You feel overall better. Do you really think that's the energy changing because you changed the stuff in that room?
Absolutely. I mean, look, you can change so for example, I moved that table behind me with that sculpture on it
Hmm.
like just yesterday to that location. It was in a different location in this house. And it changed that alone, like little things like that, little changes aesthetically can change the whole trajectory and the energetic field of the space. I mean, think about it when you clean out your closet, you do a big purge of getting rid of clothes and things, how that feels afterwards. You're like, oh my God, it's so much lighter in here. It's more organized. I
Hmm.
automatically feel good about it, or just changing like your bedding on your bed or pillows on your couch plays a big role. Paint colors, little things like that. People realize they add up to the big things.
You know what I'm gonna get after this podcast?
What?
A garbage bag. And I'm pretty neat. I mean, I keep things in their place, but as time goes on, you accumulate stuff and it becomes, call it wallpaper, even though it's not. You just pass by it and it's there. And until you remove it or move it, you're not going to realize it. You need to take that step and move yourself forward. Uh, I'm going to be honest. I'm almost afraid that you said that about that one sculpture because I was like, where's she going to go with this? And it's like, all right, why do I have that there? Why do I have that there? Do I really need that there? What about that over there? The challenge that we have of letting go, why do you think that is? Why can't we just get this stuff down, put it somewhere, throw it out? Why do you think we have this attachment thing going on?
You know, I I really wish I had a better answer for this because I think about this every day. And I think it's what we're conditioned, to be honest, as kids and what our parents were conditioned and our grandparents. It's like a generational thing where you just feel like you need to accumulate all these physical, tangible items and you can't get rid of them after that. I think about it like, think about that classic china cabinet that your parents have that probably never gets used. It has a ton of stuff in there, never used, maybe once.
Yeah.
And it's going to sit there until somebody decides we're getting rid of it, right? It's gone.
I never got that. I never understood it. I know there's collectibles, and I can't even remember the names. There's so many over the years that they go through series of collections and all of that. It's so not me. In another life, my ex had that stuff there, not to that degree, but there was a cabinet that she got from her father because he was a woodworker. So he built it with what am I up? Yeah, my countertop. Can't think of the name of the the surface.
Granite.
Formica. And he was a Formica guy. So had that in the middle of my living room. And then of course you got to put something in it. So then there's random stuff on shelves. All of us put a bar there. Do something useful. I don't know. I never got that. But yes, you're right. I think it is generational because if you go back, a few generations, people from that time came from, now I'm talking like grandparents, came from a time of scarcity where there was maybe the Great Depression, where you held on to things, money, we were very careful with money and all of that. And then as that gets passed on, here we are. And nobody likes change. We have a fear of change. So making even a small change, getting rid of that curio cabinet is a big deal. You're attached.
Yeah, it's true. And if you look at a lot of the research and the clients that I have now that are the younger generation, they're really in that minimalistic phase of their life. They don't want so many things, myself included. When I moved, I threw everything out. I like hold an attachment to things like in a really scary way. And I just got to a point where I had to get rid of everything. I was like, I want to start fresh. I need new energy. I need to like just completely cleanse my life. And I threw everything out and I started from scratch. And I think a lot of people now are doing that because they're just sick of looking at the same stuff. And they're like, I got to get out of this trap of collecting things.
And doesn't it feel good?
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. I did the same thing.
Feeling you can't even buy that feeling. You know what I mean? Like you just have to do it.
Yeah. I moved. It's coming up on 2 years and like 4 months. So downsize in between houses, not the right time. I had an offer on one and right away, and it just didn't seem right. So I put the pause on that. So I'm in a place now where it is the style. I made it minimalistic and just getting rid of all that stuff. And I have a small storage shed and it's very, very inexpensive. And the stuff that I kept is in there. I will admit, I don't know if you do this, but the stuff that came with me, just because it was connected in different areas, I saged. I used Palo Santo, and I probably should sage again on a more regular basis just to keep positive energy around.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I'm saging all the time. I mean, whenever there's a full moon, I got lists everywhere hidden in this house.
Nice.
Like, I'm really big on the energy. And same thing goes with, and I kind of educate like all my clients and my friends on this stuff too. So whenever I get a kitchen project, for example, because as a designer, old school kitchens have a million cabinets, so many unnecessary wall cabinets. Just as an example, when I'm ripping a kitchen out, the clients automatically are gravitating towards that old school mentality. Oh my God, I need all this storage for all these things. And I said, for what? What do you need a wall cabinet for? Your glasses and your plates. That's it. And you don't need a lot of wall cabinetry. You need base storage and tall storage, and that's it. Like, you don't need all this extra stuff, because then guess what? I give you more, you're going to fill it more with more things. And then you're back in that whole mindset. And it's just anxiety. I call it the high anxiety in of design. Like, There is no peace behind that when you have more and more things on your countertop, in your cabinets. It's too much.
I get it. Like I said, I moved a year and a half ago. I still have kitchen cabinets not filled up. I'm not even kidding.
That's the best news I've heard all day, honestly.
And it's like, I almost look and I'm thinking, I'm paying to be here. I should be effectively using this space, but I have nothing to put up there. What am I going to just fill it with whatever? And in my garage, that's where I have like paper products and everything, and it's neatly arranged. And I go there and grab it and whatever. Why change? Just leave it at that. So we kind of reverse engineered this today, not talking about your projects, but talking about some of the theories why we should make those changes in our lives. And that's what makes you different, where you recognize the energy that is around us in our living spaces. What is your favorite room to Kristiann to redo?
I would have to say the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it is the most understated space. Like that's your sanctuary. I'm sorry. You could be, even as a single woman and I live alone, it's just me and the dog. My bedroom is like, that's my Zen sanctuary. I'm going to make it feel, at the end of the day, that's where I unload my brain. I want to turn it off. I don't want to think about anything work related, any of the stress factors throughout the day.
Yep.
And there's so many ways that you can do that through design and aesthetics and that energetic field that people really don't realize how you can do that, how you can pull that into your own space. I mean, you see it on Pinterest boards, you see it on Instagram, you see it all over the internet, but like doing it yourself for yourself, it's like people are afraid to do that. So for me, I love to do that for other people. It makes me happy. And I live it myself. I've made sure my bedroom is like a cloud.
You're describing me, and it's like freaky because my living room used to be my thing. Now it's my bedroom. And it was Sunday morning, and I was texting with somebody that I haven't talked to in a while. And I was like, I'm still in bed, and I love the way the sun comes through. And because I have a big, I don't know what they're called, but big windows in my bedroom. And I've said I feel like I'm on vacation. It's just like a wonderful full feeling when I walk in. I love my closets. They're just I feel like I'm in a store, because everything is all, set up real nice. Other rooms, maybe not so much, but what would you describe your style as? No, a lot of interior designers have a way that they describe themselves overall, and it changes per project, but overall, what would you say?
I'm more of a rustic industrial kind of person. But it's really hard because I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm an adventure seeker. And I'm not very colorful. I'm kind of more monochromatic, but I lean towards texture and ambiance. But I'm very edgy. So, my style alone, I consider myself like Gwen Stefani and Shania Twain. If they had a baby, I would be their child. Like I am like country rock into one as an individual, and I kind of pull that through my design style as well. And of course, I have to, give to the people what they want.
Sure.
So if that's not their style, then
I mean, you can do anything. You can do anything, but when it comes to somebody asking for a suggestion, you lean back on what you're comfortable or what you like. And if that doesn't fit them, then that's fine. Then we go in a different direction.
I put feelers out. I do. I like to do feature walls. That's like my thing. And I'm always trying to introduce them to these really cool ideas of doing a cool feature wall somewhere if it's applicable. And if they're for it, great. And if they're like, no, I really don't want that, I want something more traditional, or I want, more streamlined, like very simple, no problem. We scale it back, but I will always introduce something a little edgier and crazy to begin with, just to feel them out and see what I can get away with. And then from there, we'll scale back.
Well, that's a cool way to approach it, because then you're getting a baseline for where they're at.
Yeah. Some clients dig it. They're like, oh my God, I never would have thought of that. And I kind of like it. I've let it marinate a little in my mind, and I'm open to it. And then I go into the fun stuff, like the renderings, and I show them like real life, applications of where I've done it or where I've seen it and how we can do that for them and kind of tailor it, twist it to what will fit for them. And then they're on board. You just
So
gotta have an open mind.
there's lots of different things that we can talk about, in the future. We'll go to different rooms and things like that. I'm going to fire off a few questions on style and trends, and you tell me if it's in.
Okay.
So, open concept, still in?
Yes,
Okay. And that, predominantly the kitchen, but just open areas, that's still a thing.
it is. And ironically, after the pandemic, it kind of started dwindling down a little bit because people were so in each other's lives and businesses being stuck at home that it got to a point where that was my busiest season. I was very blessed, and people wanted to build walls within their home. They wanted to section
Okay, I get it.
up because they wanted their own space because
Yeah.
they were so stuck for so long. And now that we're coming out of it, people can breathe again. We're back to that open space concept.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's so funny when you think about that. It's like, I don't want to deal with you. I'm putting up a wall. There it is.
Literally, that's
Yeah.
what I built more walls in 2020 to 21 than I can tell you.
Isn't it when you look at it as a energetically, it's people are putting up walls emotionally and then literally figuratively putting up walls. Uh, Wallpaper. I'm seeing it come back. I don't know if it's just a random thing. What are your thoughts?
Well, it depends how you look at it. Wallpaper is great because what they have on the market now is not what you're used to seeing when you grew up. So now they have like really cool inlays. They're really intricate details that it's not that old school floral stuff that we hate. There's prints and patterns and there's texture. So the way that it's being applied now versus what it was 30 plus years ago, where it was on every wall. Now, if you're doing it in small doses and you're really applying it properly, whatever the design is, you can really do some cool stuff with it. So it
There,
is coming a trend again. It's coming back around.
I'm seeing more of trying to describe this, but more of a industrial feel to the wallpaper. Like you could put it in the bathroom and there's wallpaper from a distance, may even look like tile, or it maybe have like a silvery tone, a gray tone to it. Backsplash in a kitchen. I've seen some of those done before, and I kind of like it. It's got a fresh look. Just saying the word wallpaper is almost like, we know the image it brings up, from back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't put it as a backsplash in your kitchen because the steam and the oils, like it's going to be really hard to maintain. The idea of it could be cool depending on what it is, but I've done like amazing custom headboards just out of wallpaper.
Hmm.
A lot of designers are embellishing open shelving concepts, like the back of the open shelves with wallpaper, a home office, like that wall behind you with those two pictures. If you were to get rid of the pictures and do like a really cool, funky wallpaper, boom, backdrop done.
Interesting. And I was in a rush when I came. I've been here just about 5 years. But I have a marketing company, and that's orange is my logo, part of it. And then and I'm going to get to color in a second, but what can I put here to complement it? That's not the color of my logo. It's a, sort of green color, and they work together. So I use gray, the right shade of gray, but it took me a long time even to find the orange. So it's not like a pukey, just it's called koi, something like a koi fish, but it took a while. When it comes to color, what's in now? Here are all different things.
You know, right now I'm noticing a lot of green is coming back, like jade green, and blue, like a deep blue, almost like not a navy, because navy's been in for a while. Navy, I've been doing a lot the past 5 years in kitchen cabinetry and cabinetry built-ins. But the paint color has been a lot of like terracotta. It's been jade green. So a little more like soft but bold color palettes,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because for me, that's bold. Like for me to apply these colors for clients, I always warn them. I'm like, listen, it's just paint. You can always paint. But if you're going to do a big staple piece, like a built-in, just be aware that you're probably going to get sick of that in 2 years, 2 to 5 years. And those aren't the easiest to swap out. Excuse me. So you can do it through your accents, your accessories, things that are not so permanent, or like the walls, you can always paint. But those softer palettes of bold colors is what I'm seeing. Even like emerald green too is big right now.
I wouldn't even think that. I would have never. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Huh.
because they're doing, gold is coming back too. Not the
Wait.
old school, like shiny gold that is super dated, but like that really beautiful satin brass
Yep.
finish is coming in. And so people are utilizing that up against color, and it's holding each other's hand really nicely.
How did you get here in terms of designing? Tell us about your journey.
Oh God. Well, I've always loved design. I've always loved creating things. And it really all started when I was a little girl. I had that Barbie dream house, and my grandmother would send me boxes of lace. She worked in fashion and in textiles. So she would send me boxes of lace, and I would, for hours and hours, tie and tape like Q-tips together and make curtain rods and wrap them with lace and things and like embellish this Barbie house. I would build additions to this thing like out of shoe boxes. My dad was a contractor. He still is. I'd move the house furniture around every time they left for work. They'd come home to like a different styled house, and they would get so mad at me, my parents. But I was a bored kid, so I would just use that time to build my creative
Mm-hmm.
reflexes. And then actually I wanted to do fashion design as I got older. And then I decided, I don't really know much about fashion. I just wear what I like, and I don't care so much about it. I like to build things, and I did birdhouses as kids with my dad. And I have that lineage. So I pursued it, and that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Wow. Your parents must have truly loved you because our daughter makes her own toys. We don't have to buy her accessories for the Barbie house. She's already done it.
Really, I really have. It's
Wow.
pretty wild.
Do you do you feel you have a little bit of intuition when you are designing? When somebody you work with somebody like you're like a certain vibe relationship going on there with them?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would be lying if I said there wasn't a job or two I've taken in my career that gave me the ick immediately, where I had a really sick feeling in my gut. And I'm like, this is just going to be so bad. I just see it not ending well. And it was what it was, whatever. I got through it. It didn't end great. It wasn't horrible, but energy doesn't lie. Right off the bat, if you're going to connect with a client, you're going to see through the same lens creatively. And even if you don't, like, how can I shift it and reframe everything so everything is at bay at least, so they're happy in the end, because that's the most important. But yeah, you have to have intuition, even with like contractors and vendors. There's people out there that scam you.
Mm.
I am the scam queen, and we'll go into that at some point. But
Meaning you've been scammed?
oh my God, yes,
Mm.
horribly. Just like 2 years ago.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. Somebody in with intuition told me my superpower, my third eye, I don't know how deep you want to go here, is kind of mucked up, but I make up for it with other chakras in being able to spot BS very well. So I haven't really been taken too much.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, that's kind of how I felt after I got scammed, because you start questioning your own ability to trust yourself, right?
yeah, you know that there's a lot there too. Yeah, and even in the last 3 years, I've learned to trust myself more. Isn't it interesting that we're talking about interior design, but we're also talking about energy and all of that that goes into that. That's what makes you different, where you approach it from that angle. I've never heard anybody do that before, and I think it's so important.
Well, it's built and it's broken me in so many different ways in my career, to be honest. And I share my knowledge with people because I want them to not, I didn't have help. Nobody taught me anything when it came to like running a business on my own and being able to build sustainable relationships in that business. And as a woman, be respected in the same sense. So you really kind of do have to rely on your street smart, your intuition, your energy, what it is you're providing
Yep.
people and what you're getting back in return. And it's not linear at all. Like there's highs and there's lows. And as long as you have a full understanding about that, you can kind of dictate how things are going to go, how your success is going to play out for the most part.
When you, and we're actually over time, but whatever. Do you see it before you do it? So when somebody says, "Hey, I want to redo this kitchen. I've got these rooms." Do you see the design in your mind before you even execute it?
Oh yeah. I have like, that is my superpower. Like I can see things before they, before they happen in a lot of ways in life. If I can't see it, then I know it's just not there. Like there's a problem kind of thing. But I can very clearly picture it. And the problem with clients is they're not as visual. So I have to find a way to project it onto them to make them understand. And then it goes into like, 3D renderings and programs and things like that. But you kind of like, I've gone as far as like building like 3D things out of cardboard just to make it come to life, to give them that visual. But that is pretty much my superpower.
So how do we engage you? Somebody's thinking about making some changes. Spring's coming. Maybe they're doing a complete remodel, maybe some type of renovation. How do we connect with you? And is it a free consult initially just to even talk it out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a free consult. You get 30 minutes of time to kind of lay out your project, talk to me about it, let me know what the pain points are. You can email me or DM me on Instagram. My website is kancreationsanddesign.com. There's many ways that you can reach me. I mean, I get people that DM me all the time just asking me like paint color questions.
Be careful what you ask for.
I know. Well, I know. Trust me, I know.
Going back to the koi on the wall, it's so challenging to find a paint color and then, let's say an accent wall that all goes with that. Your website, it's creations.com. I want to make sure we have the spelling right. Do that for us.
It's K-ANN creations, spell the K, and design, and like the word and design.com.
Gotcha. Great talking with you today. Refreshing in terms of your approach. I've talked to other designers, but nobody with the energetic feel for it. And it's my belief that that's half of it. That's the most important part, really, sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot to cover.
Yeah, we do.
Cool things to talk about.
We'll go room from room in the future, and it'll be cool. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.